Welcome to CATANet TV. I'm your host, John Reid, CEO of CATAAlliance, and we're very pleased this morning to be joined by David Large, who is the Dean of the Sandermoen School of Business at the University of Fredericton. Again, the subject is our series, our thought leadership series, dealing with the adoption of digital technologies in Canada. And David has some very interesting perspectives on some of the educational aspects of that. So David, over to you.
Good morning, John. Thanks for the opportunity to talk to you today about digital adoption. And I'd like to spend a few minutes today talking about the adoption of e-learning in Canada. Now, I probably don't have to convince anyone anymore that e-learning is a good idea. That is, using the power of the web to learn. We've seen over the last 10 years a tremendous rise in e-learning, both in the educational institutions and by corporations. We've seen that if it's done well, people that use e-learning actually enjoy the learning, actually learn things, and in many cases it can be more effective than in the typical in-class or in the seminar room. And the size of the e-learning industry is expanding at a tremendous rate, and it's hard to get a grasp on how big that industry is. I saw a study earlier this week that said the size of the learning management system, or the LMS industry, is approaching $2 trillion and growing in double digits. Conversely, the money that organizations and universities are spending on courseware and services, multi-billion dollars into the 8 digits as well. So we don't have to convince people that adopting e-learning is a good idea. But what I'm really excited about is where the e-learning industry is going. It's evolving at a great rate. And the question for us in Canada is whether or not we're going to be a big part of that or just a taker. So if we think about the education sector just for a moment, what's happening there is the so-called MOOC industry, for massive open online courses or massively open online courses. These popped up a few years ago, and the major players in the United States are organizations like edX and Coursera, even the Khan Academy, Udacity. These are organizations set up to provide these massive open courses, and the courses come from well-known institutions like MIT and Harvard and so on. And they open them up. There are no qualifications that you need to get into the courses. They're free. And some of these early courses have had tens or hundreds of thousands of people enrolling in them. Now, the experience has been mixed, to be quite honest, and the dropout rates of the MOOCs can be quite high, but nevertheless very effective. And this is evolving. This MOOC industry is evolving at lightning pace. We've seen rapid developments just in the last couple of months, for example. We've seen respected educational institutions we've seen Georgia Tech, for example, accept MOOC graduates for credit in their programs. That's quite an evolution. We have seen MOOC providers starting to charge licensing fees. So we're talking about anywhere from $50 to $100 a student a course to take these MOOCs online. Where this is going, though, is towards an industry we're calling the MLOC industry at the Sandermoen School of Business, for massive licensed online courses. And this is very exciting, and this is where the future of online learning is really going to go. If you can imagine a courseware experience or a learning experience where you sit down and you're treated to a multimedia digital feast where you have access to e-texts, simulations, virtual campus. For example, to experience a virtual campus, check out Avaya Web Alive. This is something they have right now for the corporate environment, but in their back room I know they've got one for the campus, where you are an avatar. You put your face on an avatar, you stroll down the mall, you see people you recognize, you stroll into an auditorium where you sit down for a lecture, you see people that you recognize there, you see the professor coming on screen. It's a very exciting environment. You throw into that an online campus tool, like we use Cisco's WebEx, for example, to do V classes and to stay in touch with threaded chats. You throw on top of that simulations. For example, if you take StratX's simulations like MarkStrat, for example, students love simulations. They get involved in them, engaged. And on top of that, you throw in some gaming. Okay, we have excellent gaming developers here in Canada, such as EA, and smaller gamers popping up all over the place. If you throw all of that together in a totally immersive, engaging, competitive, stimulating environment, I can easily see the day when learning is going to be far more fun, far more effective, far more efficient, far better for everybody to see this happen. So I see this evolving very, very rapidly. We've seen moat providers popping up not just in the States, but also in Germany, in Japan, elsewhere in the world. And this is where I'd really sort of put out a call to action, if I may. This is the call as I see it. This industry, the MLOC industry, is happening. We can't stop it. The cat is out of the bag, the horse is out of the barn, it's coming at us. The question for Canada is, are we going to be a player in this industry, or are we just going to be a taker?